The president of the HOA stood there, smug as ever, while my 14-year-old autistic son sat trembling on the curb, his wrists bound in handcuffs. All because he didn't respond quickly enough when she barked at him. What they didn't know was that I'm a federal disability lawyer, and I was about to turn their flimsy bylaws into my personal battleground. No, this isn't some Hollywood script. This is what happens when a power-tripping, self-appointed HOA dictator picks the wrong neighborhood to flex her fake authority. Freeze frame, yep, that's me, the guy whose private well this HOA tyrant, Lisa, tapped into illegally to water her precious garden. What did I do? I rerouted sewage into her system. And trust me, that was just the opening act. When I first met Lisa, she was decked out in full suburban war gear, oversized sunglasses, a velour tracksuit, and that plastered-on smile people wear when they're itching to correct you. My family had just moved into this quiet cul-de-sac on the edge of town. My son, Ethan, needed space and calm. He's autistic high functioning, but his anxiety spikes when he's overwhelmed. Walking steadies him, so every evening, like clockwork, he'd put on his headphones, clutch his fidget cube, and take 2 silent laps around the block. He never bothered anyone, never chatted with strangers. He just needed his routine. Apparently, Lisa didn't approve of that routine. It started small passive-aggressive jabs. A sticky note on our mailbox. Community paths aren't for aimless wandering. A neighbor muttering about suspicious loitering. Then Lisa herself showed up at our door, fake smile in full force, introducing herself as president of the Pine Grove HOA. Funny thing is, this neighborhood didn't even have a real HOA, just a volunteer clique with delusions of grandeur. I let her ramble. She mentioned concerns about a young man walking alone without supervision. I blinked, then told her he was my son, 14, and didn't need a babysitter. Her smile tightened, but I could see the irritation simmering behind those shades. People like Lisa don't crave order, they crave control. There's a difference. When someone like Ethan doesn't fit their script, doesn't wave, doesn't answer fast, doesn't meet their gaze, they freak out. They judge. They assume the worst. The real trouble hit a week later. I just pulled into the driveway after a day in court, ironic, given what was coming when I saw the flashing lights. 2 cop cars, one parked halfway on my grass. My stomach dropped. There was Ethan, sitting on the curb, headphones dangling around his neck, one lens of his glasses cracked, hands zip-tied behind him. One officer stood nearby, looking uneasy, while the other talked to Lisa, who was clutching her tiny dog like a prop and gesturing wildly. I bolted across the lawn, flashing my ID before the officer could finish raising his hand. I told them I was Ethan's dad, a federal attorney, and demanded to know what was going on. Lisa jumped in, claiming Ethan had been following her and ignored her commands. Yes, commands. She'd ordered him off the sidewalk, but with his noise-canceling headphones on and his anxiety peaking, he didn't hear her. She took it as defiance and called 911. I asked the officer flat out, "Do you honestly think a teenage boy walking in a loop is stalking someone?" He hesitated, mumbling about responding to a call and Ethan not identifying himself. That's when I lost it. I asked if he'd had any training on neurodivergent individuals. No. Had they tried contacting me before cuffing a minor? More mumbling about protocol. Ethan hadn't said a word since I got there, just sat shaking, staring at the ground, lips moving silently. I knelt beside him, told him I was there, that it was okay, but inside, I was raging. I demanded they uncuff him. They wavered. Lisa insisted on a warning. I gave them 10 seconds before I'd call the Department of Justice. That worked. They cut the ties, handed him over without so much as a sorry, and slunk off, radiating that quiet shame of screwing up big time. Lisa didn't blink, just muttered about doing what was necessary. I carried Ethan home. He didn't speak. Inside, he curled up on his bed like the world had shut him out. I sat in the kitchen, staring into space, plotting how to burn it all down legally. Lisa thought she'd won, that she'd put this scary teen in his place. She didn't know she'd just ignited a war with someone who'd spent 10 years fighting disability discrimination in courtrooms bigger than her overpriced house. That night, I got petty, I'll own it. Remember that well she'd tapped into? During renovations, she'd hooked her garden irrigation to it without permission. Illegal, and I'd known for months but held off. Now was the time. I rerouted the septic overflow into her line. 20 minutes later, her roses would be soaking in sewage by dawn. And that was just my warm-up. You'd think that'd settle it, right? A little revenge to even the score? No. Lisa didn't just violate Ethan's right, she scarred him. The real payback wasn't sewage, it was methodical. The next day, I dug into every HOA document I could find. It was a mess, half of it unenforceable. I marked it up, drafting letters to the ADA, the State Disability Office, the County Zoning Board, the HOA's insurer, and one just for Lisa, dripping with legal venom. Then my phone buzzed an anonymous tip. A screenshot from the HOA group chat. Lisa's name, bold as brass. If he thinks his law degree scares me, wait till he sees what's next. I've got friends on the board. He won't last a month. Oh, Lisa, you should have stuck to sticky notes. I shifted gears, slow, deliberate, legal warfare. Evy Denke first. Screenshots, emails, recordings. I walked Ethan's loop myself, narrating timestamps and conditions into my phone. Public sidewalk. No gates, no signs. Then the paper chase. I requested the HOA charter and bylaws. Lisa's response was a garbled email demanding a petition signed by 3 board members and notarized. Hilarious, since the board was just her cousin Tom, and some guy who thought he'd joined a gardening club. So I sent certified letters to the HOA, Lisa, and the property management company. She kept name-dropping, citing the Fair Housing Act, the ADA, and federal code. I wasn't bluffing. I'd wielded these laws in court. Lisa was about to learn what they meant. Ethan was recovering, but every bark or flash of light on TV made him flinch. That's when I knew petty wasn't enough. I'd bury her so deep in legal trouble, she'd need a judge's permission to sneeze. She doubled down, sending violation notices, fines for lawn clutter, Ethan's swing, and unauthorized modifications, our navy blue door. Next door had a neon peach house and a flamingo flag, but rules only applied when Lisa felt slighted. I stayed calm on the surface, but filed an ADA complaint with the DOJ, notified the zoning board, and warned the HOA's insurer about a brewing discrimination claim. That last one hit hard. Insurance hates liability, especially involving a detained minor with a disability. A week later, the insurer demanded an incident report and training records from the HOA. Lisa stopped her smug group posts and started demanding neighbors, painting me as a lawsuit-happy VY. Too bad some of those neighbors had kids like Ethan and weren't buying it. One sent me a gem, Lisa's chat rant. If we let the weird kids run loose, we'll have lawsuits every stair. Into the file it went, labeled "This'll rot fast." She finally caved, inviting me to an informal resolution meeting. Condescending tone, stacked deck, Tom in a too-tight polo, Lisa with a scarf like she was the VY Tim, and the third guy looking miserable. I brought the ADA, a binder of precedents, and 3 letters. One for the DOJ, one for the insurer, one signaling a federal lawsuit. I laid it out: public sidewalk, Ethan's rights, illegal detainment, retaliatory fines. Lisa claimed ignorance of his autism. I reminded her I'd told her twice. She floundered. I slid over a settlement. Public apology, expunged records, her resignation. Take it, or I'd file. They asked for 48 hours. That night, Ethan asked if he could walk again. Soon, I said. Very soon. The 48 hours passed in silence, then a letter from a new HOA lawyer, all vague fluff about unintended harm and private talks. Delay tactics. I fired back with case law, Evy Denke, and a cost breakdown of a CIVYL rights suit. 2 days later, the insurer called, nervous, probing about systemic discrimination. The armor cracked. Lisa, though? She tripled down, fining me for graffiti, Ethan's rainbow chalk swirls on our driveway. It was provocation, baiting me to snap. Instead, I filed a cease and desist, an ADA retaliation injunction, and tipped off the media. A local outlet ran it. Dad says HOA detained autistic son, files federal complaint. Lisa's weird kids, quote, starred front and center. The backlash was swift. Furious residents stormed the next meeting. The lawyer and insurer showed. Lisa didn't. She'd fled to her sister's lake house. The board ousted her temporarily, but it was done. A handwritten apology from the new president followed, promising ADA compliance. It wasn't enough. I sued anyway, not just for Ethan, but for everyone Lisa had bullied. She countersued for defamation, but her lawyer bailed after 6 days. Her husband called, begging to settle. I demanded her resignation, an apology, and a disability rights donation in Ethan's name. She dropped the suit. Then the DOJ stepped in, investigating years of HOA discrimination, Lisa's name everywhere. She vanished, car parked, dog alone, neighbors shunning her. I pushed forward, proposing ADA training and an inclusion committee at the next meeting. The board agreed, scrapping Lisa's rules. Ethan walked again, freer each day. With the settlement, I funded a sensory garden behind the clubhouse. Ethan designed it. It opened in June, plaque and all. For every voice too slow, every walk cut short, you belong. The DOJ later mandated oversight and training, headlines shifting from Lisa's mess to our renewal. Karen's gone, but the fight isn't. Other HOAs called, and a coalition formed, parents, lawyers, advocates dismantling petty tyrants one bylaw at a time. Ethan's chalk art stays on the driveway. The apology letters framed in our hall. He asks why. Because this world's yours too, I tell him. No one not with a badge, a clipboard, or fear can say otherwise. Next time someone like Lisa rises, they'll hesitate. They'll know a quiet kid's dad might be a storm and storms leave growth in their wake.